Welcome to another episode of On the Pitch with TJ Picks. I'm your host, TJ Raff. Starting off with the Saturday soccer, we're headed to England, the Premier League, and I'm wearing the jersey, guys. Man City, the defending champions, taking on Newcastle in Newcastle. Man City, minus 170 favorite. This is our first game for Saturday in the England Premier League, match week number 6. Man City is in first place, 13 points. Liverpool's a close second with 12 points. Aston Villa, third place. Arsenal, 11 points. Newcastle, right outside the bunch there, at a sixth place. Got to go with Manchester City here, guys. They want to stay in the front. They want to stay in the lead. Give me Manchester City to win. Moneyline minus 164. Moving on to the next game, Chelsea at Brighton. Brighton visiting Chelsea for this game. Chelsea's in 5th place, 11 goals scored, 5 goals conceded. Brighton has scored 8 goals in 5 games, conceded 4. Chelsea's doing very well right now. I'm going to have to go with Chelsea to get the victory here. Third game for Premier League, Brentford at home taking on West Ham. West Ham is involved right now in a tournament played during midweek, so they're going to be a little tired. Current standings, Brentford is 12th place in the England Premier League. West Ham all the way down to the 14th place. Let me take the home team here. Brentford at plus 118. Brentford for the win. Arsenal, big, powerful team, are a minus 588 at home versus Leicester. Got to go with Arsenal. You may have to take them on the goal line, though. Arsenal minus 1.5 at home to get the victory. Next game, Everton and Crystal Palace. This one's a tricky one, guys. This one can be a coin flip. We're talking about 2 bottom-level teams. Crystal Palace is in 16th place. Everton, all the way at the bottom of the barrel, is in the relegation standings right now. What I mean by relegation is the final 3 teams, the last place, second to last, third to last. If they stay in those 3 positions, they get moved down to the 2nd division in England. So you don't want to be in those positions. Everton in 5 games has scored 5 goals, so they're averaging 1 goal a game, but they've conceded 14. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, has scored 4 and conceded only 7, half of what Everton has conceded. Everton, though, needs a big win here. Crystal Palace all the way at the bottom as well. I like goals in this one a little bit just because it's 2 teams who have to get a win. They have to push forward, and by pushing forward, they're going to open up the back. This is a tough one, but Everton is bad. Give me Crystal Palace at plus 162. You could get Everton at plus 177. This is the thing with soccer. 2 evenly matched teams. Give me Crystal Palace plus 162 to get the victory. Nottingham Forest in the next game versus Fulham. We're at Nottingham Forest. Current standings for these teams, 8 and 9 respectively. Nottingham Forest in 5 games have scored 6 goals, only conceded 4. Fulham, 7 goals scored, 5 conceded. This one right here is a tricky one. Nottingham Forest coming off a 2-2 draw versus Brighton in their last game. Fulham coming off of a big win over Newcastle. Ooh, tricky one here. I definitely see a both to score in this one, guys. Both to score here. Both teams are scoring and conceding. Fulham's actually, the last 4 games, has scored a goal and has conceded a goal. We're going to go with the both to score in Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. Not going to pick a winner there, guys. Going straight with the both to score. Last game for Saturday in the England Premier League, the Wolverhampton Wolves versus Liverpool. Liverpool's going to be a little tired. They didn't have their main key players playing in these tournament games. A couple players did play, but they are going to be a little bit tired. But they're still not 286 favorites at Wolverhampton. Liverpool powerhouse team has been a minus 500 and lost this year, so be careful with that. I don't see them losing versus Wolverhampton, who are all the way down to the 19th slot in the relegation zone as well. Give me Liverpool and some goals in this game, guys. We're going to see some goals. Liverpool minus 1.5 goal line. That'll do it for England Premier League for Saturday. Moving on to our favorite league, the League of Goals. We're headed to Germany, Bundesliga. Game number 1 Saturday. RB Leipzig taking on Augsburg. RB Leipzig minus 270 favorites. RB is in 5th place. Meanwhile, Augsburg is all the way down in the 12th slot. Current games, Leipzig, surprising draw versus St. Pauli in their last game. Augsburg went down to Mainz 3-2. Augsburg before that beat that same St. Pauli team 3-1 that RB Leipzig couldn't beat. But with that being said, RB Leipzig is going to get the victory here. Give us the Red Bulls at minus 270. Let's take them goal line minus 1.5, or they could be used as a parlay piece. Freiburg at home in the next game taking on St. Pauli. St. Pauli had just moved up to the Bundesliga first division this year. Freiburg is in 3rd place, right behind the big powerhouse Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. Freiburg is in 4 games has scored 8 goals, conceded 4. Meanwhile, St. Pauli has only scored 1 goal and conceded 6 in their matches. Give me Freiburg at home to get the victory. Looking at the next matchup here, we're headed to Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg at home taking on one of our favorites, Stuttgart. Stuttgart currently in the 7th slot, 12 goals scored in 4 games, 8 goals conceded in those 4 games. Meanwhile, Wolfsburg, 8 goals scored, 9 goals conceded. You know where I'm going with this one, guys. Goals, goals, goals. Stuttgart, Stuttgart, Wolfsburg. We're going with goals, and give me Stuttgart to get the victory here. Moving on to the next game, Mainz versus Heidenheim. Mainz, a minus 118 favorite. Let's look at the positions, 9 and 10 respectively. Heidenheim's in 9th place. Mainz in 10th place. Heidenheim, 8 goals scored, 7 conceded in 4 matches. Mainz, 8 goals scored, 8 goals conceded. We're looking at a both to score here. We're looking at goals, but give me Mainz at home. Sometimes you just got to take the home team when they're evenly matched like these guys are. Next game, Borussia Gladbach at home versus Union Berlin. Now, technically, Union Berlin is usually a team that I stay away from when it comes to goals because they're very good defensively and they don't have too much firepower. But last week, they surprised us and actually scored 2 goals and conceded 1 by beating Hoffenheim 2-1. Meanwhile, Gladbach didn't score a goal and also lost 2-0. The standings for these 2 teams are Union Berlin in 6th place, 4 goals scored, only 2 conceded in 4 games. Meanwhile, Gladbach is down in 14th slot, 5 goals scored, 8 goals conceded in 4 games. This is a tricky one just because Union Berlin had a good game and Gladbach had a bad game. The favorites are the home team. I'm going to go with the home team this time. Gladbach to win at plus 112. And I'm going to stay away from goals in this one just because you never know with Union Berlin. Ooh, big game. Bayern Munich, who's been scoring, a scoring machine, versus Bayer Leverkusen, another one of our favorites that likes to put up some goals. These guys are the number 1 and 2 teams in the Bundesliga. Be careful, guys. This one looks like it could obviously be a game where we see a ton of goals, and I feel that it can be. But whenever the 1 and 2 teams play against each other, they are usually the best defensive teams as well. Bayern Munich has scored 16 goals in 4 games, 16 goals, and have conceded only 3. So less than a goal a game they've conceded. Meanwhile, Bayer Leverkusen has scored 13 goals in 4 games, but they have conceded 9 goals. So with that being said, this is a game where we will see a boat to score. Bayern Munich is on fire right now with Harry Kane. They are at home. I cannot see Bayern Munich losing this game, and they're only a minus 141 favorite, even though Bayern Leverkusen had that amazing streak last year. I forget the exact number, but they won like 40, 50 something games in a row without losing. And Bayern Leverkusen are the defending champions last year. We know about the Harry Kane curse. So what the Harry Kane curse is that he's never won a tournament. I'm going to just talk about it real quick. The Bayern Munich had won 11 years in a row. Kane came to the team, scored a ton of goals, and they didn't win it last year. Bayern Leverkusen won it after having that tremendous streak. Let me just tell you what the head-to-heads were. Last year, the last time they faced off, Leverkusen beat Bayern Munich 3-0. So I think Bayern Munich is coming for blood in this one. I think Bayern Munich is going to win as a revenge game. Harry Kane is going to score at least 1 goal, and give me Bayern Munich at minus 141. I love that line, especially how they've been playing. We're going to end with a bang on Saturday. Bayern Munich with the win.
And Raf, just as someone who's learning soccer, like I was trying to find a line as you're talking for the over and unders, but then as soon as you say the line for what it is, it seems like a no-brainer. Bayern Munich money line is the play.
Exactly, man. And I'm guessing the over-under on this game is going to be like 4, 3.5, 4. It's going to be high. But I do see them doing that. But the no-brainer, like you said, for revenge and the way they've been playing is Bayern Munich money line at minus 141 right now. And it might even dip. It might go a little bit higher, but I love that play on this game. Moving on to La Liga in Spain. We got a couple games that I want to look at. Mainly just one. Barcelona dominating the league. Had a game recently this week where they only won 1-0, but it was versus a defensive team, Getafe. I think that Barcelona is going to bounce back and get a big win versus Osasuna in Osasuna. Let's look at the standings. Barcelona has scored 23 goals in 7 matches, only conceded 5. They did only beat Getafe 1-0, which is a surprise. They had a goal taken away. I think they're going to bounce back to that rhythm. And Osasuna has scored 8 goals in 7 games, but has also conceded 11. So I like Barcelona to get a victory here at the goal line, minus 1.5. And I do like the goals for Barcelona match. They are minus 217, so you got to take them. You got to take them goal line, and most likely it's going to be an over 2.5. And that'll do it for Saturday's soccer. Moving on to Sunday's soccer action, back to the Premier League in England. Ipswich at home, one of the recently moved up teams from the 2nd division versus Aston Villa. Current standings for these two squads: Aston Villa is in 3rd place behind the powerhouses Liverpool and Manchester City, doing very well this season. 10 goals scored, only 7 conceded in 5 games. Meanwhile, Ipswich, all the way down to 17th slot, only scored 3 goals in 5 games, conceded 8. I got to go with Aston Villa for this one. Give me Aston Villa money line, minus 119. That's a great line. Manchester United played an awful game today in the Shitropa League, is what I like to call it, the Europa League, versus a team by the name of Twente. Manchester United was a minus 400 favorite, and they drew 1-1. Very terrible performance by Manchester United. Manchester United is one of those teams that you hate, that usually you put on the shelf and don't bet their games anymore. I may stay away from this one. But I am going to go with the goals here. Manchester United versus Tottenham is probably going to be over 2.5, 3 over 3. But I'm going to take Tottenham. Tottenham at plus 182 to get the victory here versus a Manchester United team who's not clicking. That'll do it for the England Premier League on Sunday. Moving on to Bundesliga, only 2 games, our favorite league on Sunday. We're going to Holstein Kiel, taking on Eintracht Frankfurt. Current standings, Eintracht Frankfurt, 7 goals scored, only 4 conceded in 4 games. Holstein Kiel, bottom of the barrel, last place, 18th slot. 5 goals scored in 4 matches, 13 conceded. No victories yet for them. Got to go with Eintracht Frankfurt in that one. Last game for Sunday, Bundesliga, Hoffenheim at home, taking on Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen coming off a big loss to Bayern Munich. That was 5-0. Before that, though, they beat Mainz 2-1. And then before that, they withdrew 0-0 Dortmund. Hoffenheim, on the other hand, also had a loss 2-1 to Berlin. Before that, they beat Leverkusen. Actually, they lost to Leverkusen, 1-4. So Hoffenheim's not having that great of a year either. Give me the home team, Hoffenheim, plus 132 in that matchup. Just scanning the board here for Sunday, seeing if there's anything else worth looking at. All right, we do have a good game in La Liga in Spain. Atletico Madrid at home versus the all-powerful Real Madrid. Current standings, Real Madrid in second place, 7 matches, 16 goals scored, 5 goals conceded. Meanwhile, Atletico Madrid in the 4th slot, 10 goals scored, only 3 conceded, played very good defensively. Atletico Madrid coming off a 1-1 draw to Rayo. Before that, they beat RB Leipzig 2-1, and then they beat Valencia 3-0. Real Madrid coming off a 3-2 victory over Alaves. Alaves not a great team, but did score on Real Madrid. Real Madrid also did get scored on by Espanyol. Real Madrid was a minus 700 in that game, and the other team did score. So based on that, we do like a both to score in that game. Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. I don't know if my eyes are tricking me right now, but Real Madrid is only a plus 149 favorite versus an Atletico Madrid team that's been off and on. I'm going to go with both to score here as a main bet for the game, but I got to take Real Madrid with those plus number. Whenever you see Real Madrid with the plus inside in front of it, you got to take it, guys. Real Madrid to get the victory, but we also see a both to score. That'll do it for Sunday soccer slate, guys. And for our Saturday Grandma Parlay, Grandma Parlays are 3 favorites that should win because Grandma said so. We're going with Arsenal, moneyline. RB, Leipzig, moneyline. Finishing it off with Barcelona, moneyline. Put those 3 together. Thank your grandma, and let's go. For the over-under parlay of the weekend, we got to go with back to the Bundesliga. The line's going to be high for one of these games. It's going to be right where it's supposed to be for the others, but we're going to parlay Wolfsburg and Stuttgart over 2.5, and Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen probably going to have to be over 3. But if we get it over 2 and the line's still good, we're going to take it. We'll let you know. But we're going to parlay the over in Wolfsburg, Stuttgart, and the over in Bayern Munich, Leverkusen as our 2-team over parlay for the weekend. Currently, the NFL, Vegas, and the bookies versus the spread on Sunday games are 27-13. That means that the public is losing at a 68% hit rate. That means if you would have faded the public on every Sunday game this year, you would be hitting at 68%. So, guys, keep that in mind when you're betting NFL. It may be good to just blindly fade the public. It may give you a good edge. There's some crazy stuff that happens in the NFL day in, day out, especially on Sundays. Week 1, the public went 4-9. Week 2, the public went 4-10. And this last week 3, the public went 5-8. So the public is getting dominated. On the other hand, on primetime NFL games are Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night. We have seen the public actually winning more than they did last season and the years before. I always keep track of these numbers just because it's an important factor to look at when betting these games. Currently on primetime NFL games, the public is 6-4 versus the spread, 6 wins, 4 losses. Versus the over-under, though, the public is 3-7 on the over-unders. That means the way the public's betting, if they bet heavy on either the over or the under, they're losing 7 out of 10 times. There have been 6 unders and 4 overs in the first 10 primetime NFL games this season. Another important note to take and another important stat, the primetime favorites are 7-3 versus the spread on primetime NFL. This is one of the first years in a long time that I've seen that happen. It seems as though the NFL is letting the public win on primetime, but they're smacking them when it comes to Sunday. So once again, be careful with NFL betting when you're betting NFL, specifically on Sunday. All right, let's look at our first game for week 4. Pittsburgh Steelers visiting the Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers are favored at -1.5. The over-under is 40. Steelers 3-0, coming off that big win versus the Chargers. They beat them 20-10. Prior to that, they beat the Broncos 13-6. And in week 1, they beat the Falcons 18-10. On the other flip side, the Indianapolis Colts coming off a win over the Bears. That's not saying much because the Bears are the Bears. Caleb Williams, a bust. I called him a bust. I don't think he's going to change. Bears have a bust quarterback. They're not going to be great this year at all. The Colts lost to the Packers 16-10 and also lost to the Texans 29-27. I'm surprised at this line right here. It looks like a trappy line, but I got to go with the low-hanging fruit and taking the Pittsburgh Steelers money line. What do you think on that one?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. No bet for me on this, but I lean Steelers in this one. I think they'll force some mistakes out of the Colts, and that'll be the difference in the game. So I think I think it's a pretty solid money line spot, to be honest. I think there's some value on it, and Steelers for me.
And I just can't go with the Colts. I know they're at home, but the only team they've beaten is the crappy Bears. On the other hand, I do like the under. The under set at 40 points. This is one of those games that you could take as a teaser. Pittsburgh Steelers +6, under 47. I like that a lot. If you could get the Steelers at some points and the under, I like the under straight up. All right. Moving on to the next game, Minnesota Vikings going to the Green Bay Packers. The favorites, Minnesota Vikings, are actually the dogs. They're 3-0. Vikings are surprising 3-0. Packers are 2-1. Packers at home getting the love, -2.5 favorites. Last week, we saw the Vikings dominate the Texans 34-7. No one saw that one coming. Prior to that, they took down the infamous 49ers 23-17. And before that, they took out the worthless Giants 28-6. On the other hand, the Green Bay Packers took down the Titans 30-14. Prior to that, 10-16, they beat the Colts, but they did lose to the Eagles in that Friday game. I think that was the game in Brazil. This one right here is a little tricky. You're getting the team that's 2-1, favored by 2.5, versus the Vikings, who are 3-0. I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings +3. What are your thoughts here?
I actually already have a couple spots I'm already looking at. So I built up a pretty chalky parlay, but Green Bay +7 and under 50.5 at -155. And then Christian Watson touchdown at +200.
All right, threw in some player props there for that one. Over-under is at 43. For some reason, my gut is telling me to go over 43. I don't think the weather is going to be too much of a factor. We're in late September, early October is coming up soon, so I don't think it's going to be super cold there. But for some reason, I think I could see both teams putting up numbers. I'll take the over 43.5 for this one. Moving on to the next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The over-under set at 44. The Eagles, as the away team, favored by -2. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-1. Philadelphia Eagles are 2-1. Another game with a very tight line. A lot of these games, can be toss-ups. The Saints they actually beat the Saints. The Eagles beat the Saints, who were doing very well as well, in a very low-scoring game, 15-12. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a bad game versus the Broncos. So this is a tricky one here. The Tampa Bay's Buccaneers started with 2 wins in the season and then come off a very bad game versus the Broncos, where they pretty much got outplayed and lost 26-7. Eagles lost that close game to the Falcons in that primetime game, bounced back with a big tight win versus the Saints. You know what? I got to go with the favorite here. I know I'm going against what I said earlier with the numbers and how the public's been getting beat, but I'm thinking this week might be a public week. I don't know. I think we might see the public win more than 5 games this week. They haven't done it in weeks 1, 2, and 3. I think the public may get some love this weekend, but maybe not. Maybe Vegas will continue the massacre, but give me the Eagles -2. Any sides there for you on that one?
Yeah, I'm right with you on that. I think that's a solid bet. I sort of lean the Eagles in this game. I think they're going to make a statement, to be honest. I think once they get into more of a rhythm, with Saquon really like leading the running, I just think it's going to be they're going to be a problem going later in the season. So I'll take that. I like the -2. I think that makes sense. And then I also like Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown -140, and he's likely going to become a bet of mine every week, sort of replacing McCaffrey right now. Even when McCaffrey comes back, I don't know how he's going to be coming off the injury. So I'll have likely Barkley as my replacement for McCaffrey for an auto bet every week.
All right, sounds good. Moving on to the next game. 2 1-2 teams, Chicago Bears at home taking on the Los Angeles Rams, who have just been dealt with a lot of injuries. Rams coming off a big win, though, surprising win over the 49ers. This is why I'm surprised a little bit with this line today. The Chicago Bears lost to the Colts 21-16. The only team the Chicago Bears have beaten was the Titans in week 1, 24-17. I'm surprised here, man. I don't understand why the Bears are favored. I know they are at home, but the Bears are currently favored by -3 points. I'm going to take the Rams all day in this one just because I'm a big hater of Caleb Williams. I just don't think he has what it takes, and I think he's going to be a bust this year. But give me the Rams at +3 on this one.
Yeah, I'm right with you on this one. I think there's some value on the Rams side. I think the line's a little bit off. So I've actually already hit a money line play at plus 130. I think could win this outright. So I just saw value in the dog and hit that. I may look at plus three as well too, as just sort of a backup, but dog play for me.
And I could be wrong, but I think the Rams are not favored because they got a ton of injuries. I think Cooper Kupp's out too. I could be wrong, but I think he's out. Their other guy, other big receivers out. So I just keep hearing that there's a lot of injuries there. I don't know if you know,
The,
but I think
the
Cooper
one
Kupp's
thing
out. But
the one thing with storylines with that though, even if he is back or not, like teams tend to rally at times like this, and I just think there's value on the dog in this situation. The Bears not showing me anything, so it's an open opportunity to play on a narrative, maybe on a team that rallies together around some injuries, and you see that time and time again. So, yeah, give me the Rams. I think there's value on money line and value on what you said too.
especially after a big win over their division rivals, the 49ers, that was a huge win.
Agree.
All right, moving on to the next game in Houston. Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have just looked like crap. Jacksonville Jaguars coming off another loss. They're 0-3. I don't know if you watched that game versus the Bills, but they just looked awful. The Bills ran all over them, beat them 47-10. Houston Texans 2-1, started off with 2 wins, then had a big, terrible loss versus the Vikings. I mean, I think the Texans will bounce back versus a terrible, terrible team, but this line is set at 6.5, and you know what we do when we see that 6.5. We take the 0-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. We buy half a point. We take them +7. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm a Bills fan, so I got to watch that firsthand and was really dug into that game. And man, they were brutal. They couldn't convert anything. He looked frazzled. The Bills weren't even playing amazing defense. They were playing solid defense, but he just looked frazzled in there. And he's one of those guys that's either look really really solid and has a big game, or he just looks like trash, and there's just no in between. So, yeah, I'm with you on the pick, but I'm staying off it. Texans win, but no bets for me.
It's hard to take a 0-3 team, right? Plus the points, especially after, like you said, after watching them just do nothing good in the entire match. It's tough. But
But that's a system play, right? For you, that's
yeah,
something
I
that
mean,
catches at a percentage. So
oh yeah, when we're talking about when we see that -6.5 +7, and you see it week in, week out, week out. I don't have the numbers right now, but I guarantee you, if you look at every team that's been favored by 6 or 7, the team that's been the dog has probably covered the majority of those games when it comes down to the lines. So Trevor Lawrence, I think he's another bust, and he's not doing too well this year. But yeah, I'm taking him, his long hair, and the +7 points. Next game, New Orleans Saints at the Falcons. Man, these lines correct, man? We're gonna have to double check this. I'm using the 365 score app,
I'm right with
and
you, man. I'm right with you. I'm on the same line as you already. I already know.
I mean, this could be a big trap. The Falcons are favored -2.5 at home. They're 1-2 versus the Saints, who played 2 very good games, week 1 and 2, and in week 3 just kind of dropped the ball and looked awful. But they are playing the Falcons, who haven't looked that great, but did come off a big win versus the Eagles. Now they kept it tight and could have won the game at the end versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So I could see why they're favorites, why they're favored. Oof, man, I may have to take the over on this game. What's the over at? 42.5? Okay. I like that. I'm gonna go with the over as a more confident pick in this game. The line of -2.5 has me going back and forth. Very tricky. I'm going to go with the Saints +3. What
Yep,
are you going to
and
do?
that's I'm right there with you on that one. Saints are already a play for me. I was considering just hitting the money line, but I likely I think the best value might be at +3, so that will likely be where I sit with that pick as well.
And here's what you got to think about. You got to think about the least obvious. You got to like double check your mind and think about, okay, what is the average fan going to take? The average fan might take the Falcons just because they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs and they were at home. And then you saw Saints team play very bad last week. So you kind of look at those things and say, oh, Falcons at home are going to win. But I don't know, guys. NFL is a tricky sport. You got to be careful. I always tell my soccer guys, because I bet soccer mainly, 98% of my bets are soccer. Soccer is where we make the most money, but we do look at NFL because I know that's a sport that everybody's betting, just to teach some lessons, to teach you guys about the stats, to teach you guys about what happens week in, week out.
Now,
And you
Raph, let me
never
ask
know.
you a
It's very
question quick.
unpredictable.
What would be your suggestion with regards to this line? Because if you with what you're saying with this line, should we maybe wait till almost game time to make the bet?
Possibly, yeah. It might be one of those where you wait till the final minute, final hour that Sunday morning. But it's possible that it could go up to -3.5, or it could move down to -1.5 and almost even money. So let's take a look and wait on that. If you're gonna do a teaser though, you might want to do it early just in case it moves to +1, because right now you can get the Saints +9.5 and hit the over. Right now it's at 42. So, I mean, you can get a really good line on a teaser with the Saints +9.5 and over. What is that? Over 434 or 35.
I
Yeah,
like it.
35. 35.5. That's a 7-point teaser right there. I like that, especially for these two teams. What do you think about that teaser? Saints +9.5 over 35.
Just wrote it down, and I was looking for a way to hit this, and I think that's one of my safer ways to hit it, and that even allows me to maybe even sprinkle the money line, but sprinkle a little bit less on it and really hammer this spot. I like that a lot.
All right. Moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals 0-3. Who would have thought? There's no way they go 0-4, right? People thought there's no way they go 0-3, especially going against the Washington Commanders, who I still see as the Redskins. The Washington Redskins came in, and I don't know, that was a crazy game. The game that nobody thought the Bengals would move to 0-3. Well, they are 0-3 now, and they're playing against a team that they should beat, the Carolina Panthers at home. Bengals are favored -4. I don't know if that's because just no one thinks that they're going to go 0-4. The Carolina Panthers are 1-2. Panthers coming off a big game off against a very terrible Las Vegas Raiders, which is my team. I knew the Raiders were supposed to be favored in that last game, and they got killed. They got brought down to being the Raiders, who are the Raiders that I know, the terrible Raiders. They got destroyed 36-22 by these Carolina Panthers. It was their first win. They were 0-2 coming into this game versus the Raiders, but they did play the Saints and the Chargers, two better teams. The Bengals have lost 3 in a row, lost to the Patriots, lost to the Chiefs, and the Washington Redskins, 38-33. I think that based on the previous two results and what we've seen before, I'm going to go with the over 47. Seems kind of high, but something's telling me we're going to get some points in this game. And I'm going to take the Bengals -4. They're going to cover. They have to. They have to win this game. They have to win it big, and they're going to do it. Are they going to do it?
Yeah, I think this is a spot for them. This is a bounce back spot for them finally, and I think they get the W in this one. That won't be the bet I'll be playing though. The bet I'll be on is Jamar Chase anytime touchdown, coming off of a game where he scored 2 touchdowns last game. And the one big thing about him is he's converting at a high rate in his targets. He gets about 5 to 8 targets a game, but he's actually landing at an 80 to 90% rate per game. So with that, you can't really argue. He's catching the ball. And in the red zone, he's there. He's open. Jamar Chase. I'll take that all day. -110. This is going to be a line that likely will be inflated come midseason.
All right. Sounds good. Moving on to the next game, New York Jets at home taking on the Denver Broncos. Over under is 39.5. And we don't even have to say much about this game. I could just look at the line, give me the points, give me the Denver Broncos +8. The line is 7.5, guys. Add half a point, pay a little juice, take the Broncos at +8. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so for this one, I'm just gonna go back to the well again, man. This has cashed every week so far this in the NFL season. So Will Lutz over in kicks. I can't imagine they're gonna jump up the number too much. I don't think they've caught up yet. They've had it at 5.5, and he's crushed it almost every game. And with Denver like having a big game last game, he ended up going way over in points. So Will Lutz over in kicks, and then I'm gonna take on the other side of the ball. I'm gonna go Brees Hall. Anytime touchdown at -140 seems a little chalky, but he's just a go-to and is another guy that I might look at for pretty repetitive touchdowns all season.
So now when you're saying kicks, are you saying over the points? Because usually it's like at 6.5 points, or are you saying
Yeah,
over field goals?
well, it's both, right? So you get actually both on it. So you get when you kick a field goal, you get the 3 points, and then when you get an extra point, you get the point for that. So right now he's been at 5.5. He had like
Oh,
14 points last game, so he's 14 points last game, sitting at 5.5 last game. The one before that, 5.5 again, and I think he landed at like 7 or 8, at whatever it turned out to be. But he's been hitting the numbers and he's consistent. So for me, it's another kicker that just keeps cashing. So.
all right, I like that. So if you see that kicker line at over 5.5, it's usually the kicker for the team that's the dog, because they don't expect them to score too many touchdowns. But on the other hand, they do kick field goals, so keep that in mind. That's an advantage there. I have seen a lot of lines for kickers at 6.5, which means they got to get at least 2 field goals and 1 extra point. So
I would
keep that in
imagine he'll be
mind.
at least 6.5 this week. I can't imagine they're not going to be caught up. And if they're not, and it's at 5.5, I'm going to send that to you, and I will make sure that everybody gets on that this week.
Yeah, let me
I mean,
know. Let me know. Send me a DM, and we'll get rocking and rolling with that one. You got to find that extra edge for the most probable pick where the advantage is on your hands and on your side. Good call. Moving on to the late games for Sunday, Arizona Cardinals at home taking on the Washington Redskins. You're going to hear me say Redskins just because that's how I remember them. Washington Redskins are 2-1, visiting the Arizona Cardinals, who are 1-2. We've already talked about the Redskins. They're coming off of 2 wins after their first loss of the year. They're playing very well right now. They just took down the Bengals, who aren't a great team this year, so we got to keep that in mind. They did beat the Giants and and they lost to the Buccaneers. So keep that in mind. Arizona Cardinals, on the other hand, lost to the Bills in week 1, 34-28. They beat the Rams, walked all over them, 41-10, and then lost a very close game to the Lions, 20-13. Cardinals are favored -3. Commanders coming off a big win. On this one, the over-under set at 50. I'm going to tease. I like the under straight up on this one. I'll tell you that right now. I like the under 50.5. But if I could tease it to under 57 and give me the Commanders +10 under 57. I love that teaser in this game, especially after the Commanders did a very good job, played very well versus the Bengals. But when we go straight up with the regular spread line, I will take the Arizona Cardinals -2.5 by half a point. I think they're going to win by a field goal or more in this one. Who do you like?
yeah, like I said to you before, the best thing that ever happened to me as a Bills fan was watching Arizona in the first game of the season. Although they lost, they put up a good showing. I was heavy on James Conner last week. He didn't quite come through last week, but it got to dig into some numbers on a quarterback who's impressing the shit out of me right now. Kyler Murray is just in his scrambles. He's got poise. He can run the ball. He can react. He's just solid, man. So I have a fun one for your fans here. Right now, in his last 3 games, he's ran 57 yards, 59 yards, and 45 yards. His over at 40.5 yards is set at +130. So, I mean, it could be a bust, and he only runs for 20 this game, and it's an outlier. But the last 3 games, he's ran for 57, 59, and 45. So over 40.5 is plus 130, and then over 35.5 is minus 105. So I'm probably going to hammer both lines. I just think he's going to be moving. He's an action quarterback, so he breaks out of the pocket, and sometimes he finds himself in situations where he has to run. He's been looking great. Next, James Conner didn't quite get the touches that he was getting before. He was over like 16 touches a game. Didn't get that last game. I think he gets some touches this game, and I think he gets a touchdown in the red zone. So we'll go James Conner anytime touchdown. I think that's around minus 120.
Nice. I like it. Good information right there. Appreciate those picks. Moving on to the next game, another late game. San Francisco 49ers at home taking on the New England Patriots. New England Patriots 1-2. 49ers, who were the runners-up in the Super Bowl, are also 1-2. Who saw that coming? I know we have McCaffrey, who's hurt. It has a couple close games, but they're 1-2. A lot of surprising things happening this year in the NFL. The New England Patriots looked absolutely terrible, disgusting versus the Jets in their last game, losing 24-3. I don't know if you saw that game, but my eyes were bleeding. I couldn't watch it anymore. Just how bad the New England Patriots were. The San Francisco 49ers lost a very close game to the Rams. This line, though, is crazy, man. 49ers minus 10. As bad as the New England Patriots looked, and they should lose by like 20 points to a San Francisco 49er team who's going to be pissed off losing a divisional game to the Rams by 3 points. I'm going to take the New England Patriots plus 10. I have to, just because of what I've seen in the NFL. What are your thoughts here? Are you going to go with me in the Patriots, or can you not bet them because of how bad they played?
I had taken them with the spread last game, and it was just really hard to watch them play football. So I'm going to stay away from the game on that standard, but I'm going to look at Mason for 50 yards. I'm going to parlay that up, likely with Saquon for 40 yards, and likely add one more piece for 40 or 25 yards. And then that'll be likely my chalk running back parlay.
There you go. All right. Moving on to the next game. The Las Vegas Raiders looked absolutely terrible. There's some problems in the locker room. I don't know if you saw the interview with the coach at the end of the game there. I'm a Raiders fan, so I got a couple Raiders channels. The coach was basically saying that some of the players made executive decisions during the game, and he said he would make executive decisions, something like that, in those type of words. So I'm pretty sure he's talking about some of the players just giving up in that last game. And we're talking about after, having a good game versus the Ravens, to just flat out give up and just not put your heart into it and just let the game go. I think there's some problems in the locker rooms right now for the Las Vegas Raiders. The Browns are visiting, Las Vegas. The Raiders are favored. I don't know why they're favored. It's probably because the Browns are 1-2, but the Browns are coming off of a terrible loss, 21-15 versus the terrible Giants. And the only team that the Browns have beaten is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who you've seen what they've done, 18-13 in week 2. Now, they did get killed by the Cowboys in week 1, 33-17. But the Raiders are the Raiders. They just the team they did beat was the Ravens. That was a surprising win. I think that was one of those free gift wins for the Raiders where they wanted to make a lot of money because everybody was on the Ravens. But I got to take the Cleveland Browns versus my Raiders at +2. Actually, I'm gonna take Cleveland Browns money line. When the line's that low, I got to go the other way. Give me the Cleveland Browns to win money line in Las Vegas versus the Raiders, who have too many problems in the locker room. They're giving up. I just don't think they have what it takes. They don't have a leader in the locker room. Give me the Browns. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm on the Browns. I actually hit it at minus 136 +3.
Okay. And listen to this. The line is so low. It's at 37. Give me the Browns +9 over 30. We're going to get some points here. Over 30. What do you think about that?
I
When
love
you
that.
talk about teasers.
I'm gonna add that to the slate. I'm gonna add that to the slate.
Cleveland Browns +9 over 30. I love that one. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And people are saying that the Kansas City Chiefs, are getting helped by the refs. I think they're going to three-peat this year. Los Angeles Chargers at home, over-unders 40 points. The spread is -7.5. I don't care how much the Chiefs have been, getting help. I think they are going to win this game, but I don't think they're going to win by more than 7. I think it's going to be, 1-6 or maybe 7 exactly. Chargers did lose to the Steelers 20-10. Chiefs 3-0, back-to-back defending champions. I just can't. I got to take the Chargers. Give me the Chargers +8 with the Chiefs winning money line. Who do you got?
Yeah, just quick pick, no bet, because like I told you, I stay away from Chiefs completely if I can. So I think the Chiefs win this one, but I just watched a reel where Mahomes was at about 31 yards
Oh
and
man,
the line was 25. Most people had 25 on their ticket, and he lost like 11 yards in 3 plays. And all he had to do was just take a knee, but he took a couple steps back and took a knee and went under. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Just to watch those games, it's almost so blatant that you can't argue with it. It's not conspiracy. It looks like it's just what's happening. So
it's
I
like
stay
they're
away from
just.
those
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like they're doing it like just showing you right in your face, like ha ha ha. Like you had Mahomes rush yards, and we're just going to cut him down to where he's under the yards on the final 3 plays. And I guess they're saying he wanted to waste time, but they didn't really need to do what he did. He could have ran sideways, but he literally ran back, like he said, lost, I don't know, 11 to 12 yards in those 3 kneel downs. That's just flat out rigging the prop bet right there. And you'll see NBA players once the NBA starts, they'll not get rebounds, or they'll start making points, and they'll be under their points, they'll be under their rebounds, they won't get their assists, just to kill certain bets like that. And that's what we saw in that game. So I definitely agree with you. That was blatant, and it happens all the time. And it definitely seemed rigged at that point. All
Like
right.
I'm pretty sure he has an earpiece directly from like DraftKings and FanDuel, and they're like right into Mahomes' ear saying, "No, no, no, we need 11 yards, please."
So one of my theories for rigging games and rigging, especially basketball, NBA, I think about Vegas, and when these NBA players go to Vegas, I mean, we're talking about these players are already millionaires, but at the same time, when they go to like clubs and get bottle service and things like that, guess who funds those parties? I think it is bookies. It is the people who run the books. They're the ones who say, "Oh, nice to see you guys," but nothing said. They just kind of wink at each other. They laugh, they smile, and they say, "Hey, great game. Hey, here's a bottle on us. It's a complimentary from the hotel. Blah 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 blah. Here it goes."
Here's
And
what I hear. I hear Mahomes got stuck at a DraftKings Diddy party, and they got shit on him. That's what I hear.
there you go. That's how it happened, right? At the Diddy party. No, these players know what their stat lines are. They know before the game, and they know what they need to do sometimes. And I'm just saying, NFL is entertainment purposes only, and these sporting uh, teams, sporting organizations like the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball, they've all partnered recently with the big books. They have contracts with DraftKings to promote the books. So think about it. They're in bed with the sports book. So what do you think is going to happen? Your player that needs 19 points on that basketball court is going to sub himself out when he hits 16, 17 and not get a single point for the rest of the game, even though, he could easily score them. Anyways, into our Sunday night football game, which is going to be the big game of the week. I know you're ready for this one. Buffalo Bills going to Baltimore. Buffalo Bills -2.5 at the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, who do you think the public's gonna be all over? Let's start there.
Money's going to come in on Buffalo. I mean, then again, sharps might want to think that the Ravens are going to do it and sort of break this Buffalo Bill team. I'd like to hear what you think, to be honest, because there's two food for thoughts there. I'm going heavy on the Bills. I think that they're playing some pretty beautiful ball right now. We'll talk about that in a minute, but what's your thoughts on it? Where do you think it's going to go?
So I agree with you. I think you can't take away from the Bills last game how they just clearly dominated and destroyed. It was the Jaguars, but they played in sync. They were doing well. On the other hand, the Ravens also had a good game versus the Cowboys, but it was close. They dominated most of the game. They kind of let them creep back at the end. So I do think that over 60-70% of the public will be on Buffalo Bills, even though it is in Baltimore. And also because they're going to say, hey, Baltimore lost to the Raiders, who just are downright awful. We are going to see 60-70% of the public on the Buffalo Bills, but that shouldn't scare you. If you remember the stat that I gave you earlier, primetime favorites on NFL are 7-3 versus the spread. If you would have bet the primetime favorite versus the spread, which we're guessing the Bills are going to be the public primetime favorite, you're winning 7 out of 10 games. This hasn't happened for years. I've been tracking these stats for almost 10 years on prime time. I keep the stats year in, year out for Sunday. So this is something that is a trend that's happening. And this is probably why I'm going to go with the Bills. And I'm also not a big fan. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Lamar. I just don't think Lamar Jackson has what it takes to win a Super Bowl. He's a great athlete. Don't get me wrong. He puts up great numbers. He could run like no other quarterback. But when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to when the pressure is on, he doesn't make those clutch passes. On the other hand, you got Allen, who just runs it like crazy. He's a ball hog. He pisses me off because I took Cook last week for rushing yards, and this guy just holds on to the ball, runs it himself, and he never gets hurt. So he needs to stop running, man. One day he's going to get hurt, and he needs to give Cook the ball. He needs to get the other guys the ball. But he's like their main running back. You tell me, you're a big Bills fan. Well, tell me about that. Why is he their main running back?
He's got to run the ball, man. When they had problems last season and you saw them sort of tipping one way. It was a very, very close to them having a very bad season. Their offensive coordinator had him in the pocket, staying in the pocket, throwing the ball, but he doesn't operate well like that. He can't be like he's not. He's probably the kid in class that couldn't sit still, and you had to teach him in a different way, right? Like he's got ADD. He's got to be on the move. He's got to throw the ball. He's got to be in the moment and in the flow of the game. So he's got to run. And some games he runs more than others. For me, I know it hurt because he ran quite a bit last game, and I was on Cook as well too. He was parlayed up to. You saw my reel. I mean,
Yeah.
30. Like, come on, man, come on. Are you kidding me? 1 yard, and he actually went over, I think, and then lost 3 yards right before they pulled him from the game because the Bills were up for it by so much.
Oh,
But,
you know what? I did see that, and you had an alternate line for him.
yeah, I mean, it hurt. It hurt. It hurt.
The real line for him was like 60 yards, but you had him over 30 something, 30.5.
It was 40 yards. So he hit 39 and it was 40 yards on both tickets. One was the co-host from First and Locks. That was one of his tickets, and then the other one was my ticket. So I made a reel because it just hurt both of us so bad. We were talking about it in the chat. So 1 yard hurts, but I got some plays for you though if you want to hear.
Okay, let's hear them.
So Bills money line hit pretty good for me last week, and I added a bonus to it from DraftKings, and I think that they're going to hit this week again too. Being a Bills fan awards me a situation to watch right now. They're just firing on all cylinders. They're playing solid football. Normally, I criticize the shit out of them as a fan, rightfully so. I've criticized them after every game. Biggest wins, I criticize so many things, and they are playing sound football. And if I'm saying that, trust me, they are honestly playing sound football right now. So I don't see them losing this game. I already hit the money line. I'm probably going to hit it with a bonus as well too, and a couple TDs. So we have, I think Allen's going to call his own number this game. We're going to have a plus 135. I think you get value there at FanDuel. And Henry, anytime touchdown on the other side of the ball, minus 135 at DraftKings. If you parlay them both together, you get plus 294. That's a juicy DGen touchdown parlay for primetime.
Nice. I like it. And I got to make a correction here. The Bills are not favored as of Wednesday. We're recording this podcast on Wednesday. It's the Ravens favored minus 2.5. So makes me love the Bills even more, even though I did just say that the favorites are 7-3. So that kind of contradicts what I said, but I'm going off of what you said. I'm going to have to take, I think the public's going to be, this is going to be one of those where the public's on the dog, which is the Bills +3. But if I can get Bills +10, actually it's at 2.5, so +9.5. Give me the Bills +9.5 over 39.5. That's going to be the mega Sunday super teaser. Bills +9.5 over 39.5. What do you think about that one?
I think Grandpa needs his glasses. Jesus. Yeah, no, I went through the lines, and obviously I should know lines for my own team. And the fact that it doesn't change anything about our breakdowns and how we went through it, because the reality of the fact is it just sort of hammers the spot even more. Bills with that as a teaser is absolutely beautiful. And Bills dog, I'm going to smash this spot this week. Absolutely love it.
There you go. We love that one, guys. We're going to end the NFL Sunday with that pick, guys. Thanks for joining us for the NFL picks. Guys, that'll do it for the podcast. I appreciate all your support. You got to tap in with me if you're not in the VIP, guys. I gave away a free weekend a couple weeks ago. I went 15-1 to all the free guys. You guys got a 15-1 weekend. This last weekend, I went 7-1. 7-1. I'm going to start that over again. Pause. All right, guys, that'll do it for the picks this week for the weekend. If you're not in my VIP, you're missing out, guys. 2 weekends ago, 15-1 run. This weekend, 7-1 run. I hit a 13-1 run, guys. I'm currently on a 34-5 VIP run. That's 34 wins in 39 picks, 87% hit rate, guys. Nobody in the business is doing what I'm doing. I have 100+ VIP members that can attest to my record right now. We're all in a VIP chat. We're cashing. We're skipping baseball. We're betting NFL low. Guys, come and see what soccer is all about. Once you join my VIP channel, you won't go anywhere else, guys. It's affordable. I have my man of the people, guys. You will see what I'm talking about when you join. TJ Raff signing off for On the Pitch with TJ Picks. Thanks again for your support. Good night. Goodbye. See you on the pitch. Boom, shakalaka, let's go.